Brazil still puts 4 kills into the round.
Novamente o primeiro a ser punido. Leva o twist.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VCT Americas. It's time for us to talk about our second match of the day. It's Furia versus Evil Geniuses. I'm still Dash, that's still Mimi, and that is still Sean, here to break down all the action for you. Let's go ahead and dive into it, though, starting on the Furia side. And the reason why I want to talk about this team is because just last week, we were hyping them up. Some of us, not all of us, were hyping them up as possibly the #1 squad in the league. Unfortunately, they fail that test versus Loud, which I think would have given us maybe a little bit more of a definitive answer. So how do we pin this team down?
They failed the test, but DigiZen is still just big showing from this team. I mean, we had really high expectations coming in. Josh was talking about, like, they're the best team in the league. They could win it all. And they faced up against a Loud, who I think was finally hitting their peak form. And there were some issues with them. They were still playing these kind of weird compositions and stuff, but it's not a game where I go back and I'm like, okay, this totally shifts my expectations for Furia.
Yeah, I think based on their form early on in the split, I think they were head-to-head pretty even, right? But Loud put their foot on the gas in that matchup. They brought a lot of innovative stuff to that best-of-3 against Furia. They respected them as an opponent. Now, I think this week Furia learned a lot from that game because the tape, there's a lot that they could learn about rotations, timings, peaks, and I actually think their approach last week was quite good. Unfortunately, they went up against a top tier opponent in Loud.
They did, and I also think that they had solid ideas on this one. I don't necessarily despise the chamber. I just think running it twice is very readable. It's very much a gimmick comp. Loud countered that well with the double builds. We went over to Icebox. They played the old default comp, and well, guess what? Loud just went back. They innovate even more with their Harbor Viper. It was such a tough opponent, and Furia couldn't adapt, but I never expected them to beat Loud. I expected it to be closer than it was, but I still consider Furia a top team. I still expect them to be top 4 in our league.
All right, words you guys were just dropping there. Good, solid, right? That's good enough against most teams, but not against the #1 team in the league, like Loud. And I think one of the players we need to talk about is DigiZen, right? He's had his moments. But is it not just a little bit weird that the man's still playing Chamber in 2023?
I don't think it's weird at all. I actually differ a little bit from Mimi. I think there's some really good TPs.
That's holdover Copia from the previous.
I'm big on the Furia Copia.
Okay.
I've been big on them. I didn't think they would beat Loud just because of like the little bro syndrome in your own region kind of thing. It's just the final boss, right? That's what Loud is for their region.
Yeah.
But I like how he's so aggressive on the duelist. As Jet, he's always pushing for those first bloods. He's willing to pick Chamber on split.
Sure.
And he's so proactive with the trip. He's like replacing it throughout the round, like collecting it, almost like he's a cipher.
It's really interesting that this team is playing up against EG because I feel like both these teams are like the VALORANT addicts. They're like sitting there cooking up a new strat every day trying to find something new, like Furia with their innovative Haven composition, with their Chamber on split. Some of those ideas failed. I think, in my opinion, not a fan of the Chamber. It was a cool idea. Doesn't really work in the double duelist meta, but I think the ideas that do work out for this team are really solid. And what EG lacks in kind of a solid base, good fundamentals, good coordination, Furia is exceptional at.
Yeah, and while all of the pieces maybe didn't come together in the perfect way last week to take down Loud, I do think one of the bright spots for them was Mazine. He had a couple very clutch moments, and those are the kinds of things that you will lean on when series get tough.
Mazine has really been solid in this one. We've talked a lot about the Brazilian Sky players in this Harbor Viper meta, and while Furia has lent into it a little bit less than teams like Loud or even MIBR, there's still been a lot of consistent value provided by this guy. In their game, they were kind of getting bowled over by Loud on the attacking side of split, but once they got to that defense, they had a couple more ideas. And moments where these retakes were good with Mazin. You can see the coordination between these players to make that game, I think, still somewhat close, at least in the first little bit.
Yeah, and you mentioned they don't do Harbor Viper a lot, but even when they don't do that, oftentimes he's the single initiator in some of these comps. So there's a lot of pressure in finding value in every single piece of utility that comes out of his kit. And he does it time and time again.
We're looking for Furia to remind us why they were so highly rated after the first couple weeks of play in their matchup today against Evil Geniuses. Let's move on to those opponents now. Evil Geniuses, they have a very challenging Super Week ahead of them. While they started their climb up the standings just last week, and that's going to feel good, and did it with a controversial move in bringing Demon 1 in, the prep's got to be there. Let's go straight to Coach Potter for her take on Super Week.
Oh man, well our Super Week is versus both the very stylistically pretty similar in Furia and Loud. We're very familiar with the Brazilian style. They're very aggressive, very confident, unpredictable as well in the server. So definitely we're keeping an eye on that. We really like that style. We kind of it fits us as well. So fire with fire.
Now, Sean, we already talked about how much of a mountain it is to climb just facing 2 opponents in 1 week.
Yeah. And
the preparation that's required to dive into it. And then you look at Evil Genius's Super Week schedule, and I would just melt into the floor and give up.
Yeah, she's like thinking about DG Zin and Ospos right there. She's like, I like when we play against aggressive people. Like,
just unpredictably aggressive people. Like, oh my God, how do you even begin to craft a game plan here?
And it was a very classic coach answer of just like kind of saying something, kind of saying not so much. But yeah, this is a very, very difficult position for Evil Geniuses to be in, because you look at their game last week against Crew, and you see some moments there. The Demon 1 change that you talked about, very controversial, but I felt like the coordination was improved from what we saw before. I felt like the game plans were actually backed up by some fundamentals. There was still a lot of issues. EG is still not looking like a top team, one that I would expect to go to playoffs, but it was better from what we saw in the first few weeks.
Yeah, for sure. We had a lot of concerns coming into last week's series around Evil Geniuses, in particular their mid-rounds, right? Once their game plan got kind of pushed askew, seemed like they had difficulty recovering until last week. Just showed us a little bit of adaptability.
Yeah, they were able to adapt throughout these halves. They were able to put attack rounds on the board, which is something they've struggled with since, honestly, the lock-in days. But they solved that last week. They busted out Jogamo on the Harbor. He looked pretty comfy, did a lot of crazy plays. Ethan, honestly, could probably even play better. I think there's a lot of room for improvement right now on EG. You look at Demon 1 just coming into this team, Ethan kind of underperforming, like I said, Jogamo taking on a new role. There's a lot of reasons why you should buy EG stonks now before the Super Week. But their opponents are.
And that's one of the main reasons on your screen right there that you should be buying into those stocks.
You want to buy when stocks are low, but stocks are still kind of low for a reason. Sure, I agree with you. The attacking sides were better. But on Ascent, they still lost in pretty rough fashion against Crew. They allowed an incredible comeback to happen against them. The same issues reared their heads, but something that was positive, that was an improvement, was Demon 1. The guy comes out here. Potter was hyping up like he's such a great Jet player. We wanted to try something new. And then the guy plays Killjoy, Brimstone, Jet, all in the same series, and is the top performer across all those roles.
That's the craziest thing to me. He's so young, so inexperienced, played 3 different classes of agents, and top fragged the best of 3.
Yeah.
What? In his debut on the Americas stage. Exactly. I mean, and he's definitely one of the reasons why you would point to this team having so much upside still, right? Yeah. We've only had 1 outing with him. We've already seen how much flexibility and adaptability he lends to the team just compositionally for them to play through. And I think as he slots in and gives the rest of the team more options, that's where you start to see freedom from players like Jogamo, right? Who we talked about having some real pop-off moments just last week. And maybe that's in part because he's a little bit less concerned with the pieces around him.
I'm so weirded out by some of the role choices that we've been seeing from this team, particularly with Jaw. We come out of last year thinking this guy's such a good Raze player. He's a fantastic dive player in North America, Jet, Raze, yet he's playing Harbor more than any of those other agents. It's just because they've played a fair bit of that Pearl, but he's also locking in the Omen. Jaw's role on this team is shifting to be someone that is more flexible, and I don't know how to feel about it. Pearl, for example, you were talking about this one. Their game plan was crazy. They're playing no duelist, and the idea is just Jaw's going to use his high tide and his utility to get into sight, and then he's going to run through and continue to fight. It's crazy.
Hold up. He's definitely playing duelist Harbor.
He is.
On Pearl. You say no duelist, I see at least half a duelist on this.
There's at least 3/4. But I think the idea is to farm him ult orbs into the Reckoning. Like, there's a method behind the madness.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not going to be any, like, 2E's-like moments when you watch Jogamo's Harbor. It's very different. He's very aggressive. Like you say, drops the Cove and runs inside of it looking for fights, not to plant the spike.
Bro is, like, creating the Thunderdome every time he wants to brawl.
He wants you to come in the Cove and
come and challenge. Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. All righty. Well, how are we thinking about the way that this one's going to play out? Because, again, talk about trajectories. That would be the trajectories of the two teams. Sorry, there, I had a brain fart.
It's a little dance move.
Right? I mean, like, how much do we index into confidence and everything working right now for Evil Geniuses, where Furia got their first punch in the face and have to recover?
Well, you have to index a lot into confidence if you're EG right now. They have that inexperienced player that we keep talking about in Demon 1, Jogmo playing Harbor, not a lot of experience there, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to make risky plays. They haven't been punished enough probably historically in practice, which is where experience comes from. So you could look for them to make these crazy plays. Sometimes they might work, but other times it might slap them in the face. Will Furia be ready for those crazy plays? Because last week, their opponents were not.
Last week, Com in the interview said that their practice was focused on fundamentals and being decisive. I don't want to see them cook as much. I want to see the consistency, which they were starting to build last week.
Time for our second match of the day, and it's time to bring out our next two teams. Here's Evil Geniuses and Furia. The Super Week battles continue, and for Furia and Evil Geniuses, they're looking to kick it off with a bang and put another win in that W column. Let's talk about how they're going to get it done starting in maps. We've talked a lot about the tools and the players that are at each of these coaches' disposals, but we haven't talked about where their preferences lie in terms of their battlefields.
I mean, this could land in a lot of places, but if I'm EG, I want to use my weird comps. Things that Furia aren't used to, right? Like the Gecko comp we see them run on Pearl, or the Sova on Fracture. I'm going in one of those directions. I definitely do not want to play Furia on a map like Ascent, or even Haven, for example.
Yeah, and even on those maps, you sometimes see this squad cooking up interesting things. Furia's Haven is wild. We haven't seen it since Lock-In, but they were the first team to run the double controller Harbor Viper over there. So Furia also has some places where they have weird stuff cooked up. But I think the approach for EG, again, it has to be on the fundamentals, the basics. You are not favored in this one whatsoever. The expectation, honestly, should be Furia to 2-0 this one, to show that, hey, we lost to Loud, but we are still a top team, and we're going to put EG in their place.
I think absolutely most people would be aligned in that assumption that Furia should run away with it, and therefore it is the onus on Evil Geniuses to find a way to shake this series up. Don't let it play to that expectation. Don't play into your opponent's game. And that's where, again, we talk about that creativity, the strategic creativity that Evil Geniuses has, the lack of information and knowledge that their opponents currently have on that set of 5 players, right? We've only seen Demon 1 out there on 3 maps and in 3 very specific instances. It might be too little data to really figure out a way to shut him down.
That's a great point. It makes the preparation very difficult, because even other maps that EG have shown, you expect to see a change with BCJ out, Demon 1 in. We've shown that they're willing to play very different roles with this guy.
The problem is just where do you go into Furia's map pool? Do you want to play them on Icebox even though they lost it last week? I don't know. Their Icebox is pretty insane.
Good. Do you try and go another direction on a map? They struggle on Split. Still, I feel like that one is really strong. Also, the bans are interesting. Yeah. Both these teams tend to perma Lotus, so I'm wondering who gets rid of that one in the pool.
Yeah, and based on their the series last week, I would have said, well, maybe you look towards Pearl. But Furia is pretty terrifying on Pearl.
Yeah, they're so
like,
good.
you know, it's like, oh, we're playing into one of our opponent's strengths, even if we think it is a strength of our own.
And we've seen the weakness on Pearl. That game versus Cloud9, it was an improvement last week, but I'm still not totally sold on this Gecko. But the bans are through, and Furia is the one to get rid of Lotus, which frees up Icebox to go out. But we talked about the fundamental basic maps. That's where Furia wants to go. Ascent #1.
And we've seen EG have good looks on Ascent. They don't look terrible on Ascent, but their attack halves often fall very flat, and Furia's defensive half on Ascent is unreal.
Yeah, we get sometimes blinded by that defensive side from EG because it is very, very solid. But right now, Furia is the best team in the league at defense. They've only lost a single round on defense of Ascent thus far. They've won 16. It is an incredible record. And as we continue into this one, we will get Fracture as the second map as well. EG runs that Silva comp. We saw it last week. I really liked it, honestly.
Fracture, if anything, too, is also one of the maps that I feel like if you feel like you are the worst team, it's a good reach to go to. Just because of the openness and kind of chaotic nature of that map is you can really find some holes and find some openings.
Yeah, and that's where we saw EG take out Crew last week on Fracture, and they probably should have won their opening game on Fracture where they lost both pistols. So they do look very good on the map. That might be one to steal from Furia.
Fracture is one with a lot of variance. Ascent definitely not the case. The series starts in a tough place for EG. But as we get later, maybe a chance. There's that one VOD of the Furia Haven comp out there. But I still think playing against Harbor Viper, it's so oppressive. It's going to be such a hard battle for EG to win this one. But I feel like that kind of helps the mental. You got nothing to lose here.
Exactly. Play with nothing to lose. It is scary that Haven would be the decider if we make it all the way there. But first up, it's Ascent. Evil Genius is starting out on the defensive side while Furia looks to attack, and into Agent Select we go.
How did we not say Khalil's name yet, Mimi?
I mean, we were talking about him as the best player in the league. He's insane.
Actually, yeah, we all stand to lose our jobs for not mentioning that.
He's actually insane. I'm just like, this guy has been tearing it up.
Can you just hit the quote quick?
By the way, didn't we
Khalil?
draft Khalil onto our Super Week Super Team yesterday? And didn't he bested his role and goes unmentioned until now? I mean, but that also does speak to the general strength of the Furia squad, that we don't even feel like necessarily this series is going to hinge on his play.
On maps like Ascent, Furia reminds me a lot of a team like Leviathan. Very thorough, good fundamentals. Every player is solid in their roles. I'm looking at Demon 1 for EG. Can they take a win? Can they make this close versus Furia?
Well, here we go. We're loading up for set 2 of the day. It is my duty to hand things over to your casters for the second match. Here's Doug and Bala.
Thank you, Dash Baller. We've got a really interesting matchup here as we think about what paths these two teams have taken to get here. EG come off of a win, Furia come off of a brutal loss, and they're meeting in what feels like an apex point early on.
Yeah, and I like the dichotomy between the two teams, right? EG starting off with 2 losses, Furia starting off with 2 wins, looking really hot coming into this, and it's flipped now. So we kind of go more to even footing, but I think the desk was hyping up Furia a lot based off their expectations from last week and not really buying too much into that loss against Loud last week. And I think we're expecting here Furia to have the upper hands overall in this series so far.
Be interesting to see how they play. I think it's easy to kind of come off of a loss that bad because it was a bad loss with a hangover of sorts, but I'm really curious to see how Furia play this. What kind of pace are they injecting into their attacking side? How are they setting up DG's in to find success?
On this pistol already starting off, the KO's on the opposite side that you would expect. EG always has some really nice ideas. It's just about executing and following up on them.
Yeah. That's where things historically have gotten a little hazy. Joggin's paranoia should be able to keep things at bay for a little while, but DG's in gets right by him.
He's completely left on his own.
Yeah.
And nobody's able to call for the fact that dash goes out, but 2 kills. Come with the spam Bustio through the door too, and the pressure's on.
Yeah, and I think more importantly too, DG's in down. Spike's gonna get planted. Mazine a little weak here, but Khalil and MW0 both healthy. Time once again becoming a factor here as a swing up for Bustio is good for the first. The second not able to land the last. But it leaves Khalil in a brutal spot with way too many targets before him.
And that is why EG has such a high win rate in pistol rounds. It is moments like that from Bustio. He is a monster. And I think it was kind of missing in the first couple of weeks here for EG. The first couple of matches for them coming into 2023. And that was disgusting. He's fighting 1v3 through that door.
He almost got them all.
Even with Jogamo dying early there to Digizin dashing onto site, it was a pretty solid execute from Furia, and finding as well the weak side from EG, given the fact that Ethan, like I said, was not knifing a main at the beginning of that round. Frenzy's completely bought up here from Furia, so this is still a slightly dangerous round.
Shutting them down.
Not only that, but it looks like they want to go to the opposite side of the map for now. Knife getting a little bit of info. early on, but as is expected for Furia DG, the first through. Spam not feeling great, but look at how Furia have somehow through all of this managed to get through without any damage. Finally, Com getting the best of DGZ again as the guns for EG come online. Just 2 remaining for Furia, make that 1. And while he did a little bit of damage, enough to take down Com and Boostio, it's another round for the defensive side.
Well, Furia locked them out of the site. Not able to flood in as EG. They also are not pressuring or not able to really capitalize on Com's position backside where he's isolated. It took him a long time to even start engaging him down lane. So Com, the shock dart kill, still able to use utility as well. Wow, the entirety of Furia is pressuring him with all those frenzies. That's a really nice job. But here, bonus round for Evil Geniuses. They haven't been great in these rounds so far, but what we've seen is 2 really clean rounds up to this point. These are the type of rounds that you need to convert on these defensive sides of the set that are so swingy.
How brutal would that be, too, for Furia if EG are able to navigate this, to break the economy for Furia, to have a 3-round lead on defense, as you were saying.
Good job setting up Digizin all the way back in Wine in A main, and then going back towards this default. Trying to figure out, okay, is there any aggression? Trying to spot these nice little trap plays that EG likes to do with Ethan's flashes. And they've now dodged both knives. But there's still a setup here on Cat.
Yeah, there is. It doesn't look like they're going to score that way, but that paranoia once again right in the face of Digizin.
It reads it really nice.
That second flash up top is even better. They can't find their way out. It's like they've hit a speed bump. Now finally getting past it, trying to dance around the generator, trying to get the kills, but the pinch from Cat that you mentioned is enough for the kills. Demon with 2 online. But it's gotten down to Boostio in this 1v2 that's gotten into a 1v1. MW0 is a little bit weak. He should be able to get the spike down. Boostio with the question now, are you pacey? Are you aggressive? You spotted him. The spam and the turret to help. The swing's there, but MW's just better.
A dangerous swing. But given the HP situation, he's very happy to go for something completely unexpected there against Boostio, who, once that turret gets set up, he's saying, okay, there's no way he's going to peek again on that left side. And that's good confidence. MW had kind of a resurgence back at lock-in against Fnatic in that game on Haven that everybody references when they think about Furia's potential. But here in the Americas League so far, it's definitely been quiet from MW. More of a supportive teammate, rather than one you rely on to make big plays and big clutches. And for the first time so far, Furia exploring a little bit more mid-control, rather than pushing at the extremities. And again, I think something that's super important against this EG squad. You see the op of Demon. Oh my goodness. There's no smoke, no flash, nothing. Hello.
Why did QCK just walk out? Either way, stays alive. Demon 1 pushed off. Operator still in hand. As it seems like EG want to apply a little bit more pressure back towards B main. MW's close by. Wise to use the drone.
And this element of Demon 1 opping very aggressively by himself too is a new element. Since he's been added to the roster, Jogamo playing the primary duelist didn't as much allow for this.
They've taken some space tree, but the spike is down as Jogamo and Ethan stuff whatever attempt at attacking success was there.
Left. Last player standing.
Khalil, who the desk was talking about, is how exceptional and electric he's been. Finds himself in what should statistically be an unwinnable situation.
Demon 1 on the stage for what is only the 3rd time this week. And that is a huge round to come up with. And again, just right after losing that bonus, getting that op up with the economic advantage that you had from winning the pistol. and just floating in mid. There was no real pressure from Furia inside that mid. But again, they're not really expecting EG to be exploring like they are. Because a lot of EG's play is super considered, super structured. And that hurts.
That's well played by DG too, man. You show him a little leg up top and then swing down low. Demon 1 not able to land the shot.
Flash. Losing the op too, that's down mid. Oh, coming in from Com though.
That's good for it. He's gonna get a little bit more. He's gonna get a second kill, yeah!
Spike down.
Good on Com, good on EG.
That's the type of trap play I've been referencing over and over that's so difficult
Enemy remaining.
as attackers to walk into. Just off of Ethan's contact there. Knowing the idea after that pick is going to be walking up Cat.
Early Hunter Fury too. I mean, it's just round 5. But MW0 now gets his online as well.
Revealing area.
Just very nicely done.
And Bustios picked up the op too.
Yep.
I'm guessing he even saw the shoulder there when MW gave it to him. Look at the discipline from EG. Com's not giving him anything. Waiting for Jogamo to spot him and then to peek.
30 seconds left.
Very, very nicely done. That's 4-1. And something we gotta keep an eye out for is how big of a depth. Oh, there was a dart actually paired with it. That landed in mid. I thought it was completely off of Ethan's contact, but no. Catching them while there is pressure from Ethan on Cat though. Allowing that dart to get covered up, so timeout now from Furia.
Early one too. It's been a hot start for EG. Com is 8-2.
Yep.
Just a couple rounds in, and yeah, a couple of those kills came off that Hunter Fury, but you saw it, you were just alluding to it, right? The pressure from Ethan, the setup with the dart, and then the ult. It really feels like EG has a very good read on the game right now.
And it's leaning into those types of setups that are really going to get EG back into the conversation as a playoff team, back in the conversation realistically as an NA team who could challenge in this Americas League. And I think Com specifically, one of the conversations that the desk was having was about looking to lean into the gimmicks for EG, looking to get that Pearl with the Gecko, looking to get the Fracture with the Sova. Those kind of uncommon things that are unique to EG. Because it's going to be hard for Furia to play against that with the unfamiliarity and maybe lean into that some unpredictability that Potter was talking about in that little interview we had with her. But I think as well, one of the reasons why you want to lean into that is because it leads to Com being in comfortable positions too. Playing a Sova, playing, I mean, the Initiator, not playing on those Harbor Viper comps that you saw on Icebox where he struggled a little bit.
Furia with 4 ults online, and the 5th one just one pip.
Oh, Jonathan, oh my goodness! What is
aggressive.
that? It's a dart from Com. He threw that up from Ahab and Jogamo TP's in. That's a paper extra.
You were just talking about gimmick.
Gimmick, I mean, that's the name of the game for EG. Yeah. And it's things that catch your opponents off guard. And I was gonna disagree with Potter when she says the team is unpredictable. But it's those little minor micro plays that make them unpredictable because they can pull them out at any second. And again, advantage for EG early in the round.
It just snowballs so quickly. You get the pick, all of a sudden a second hits, and now you find yourself in a 5v3. Well, it's a 3v2 now. Things have gotten a little sideways for the defensive side. And there's some potential for it to get worse. You've got the lockdown, though, that should be able to take care of things. Early use, but invested nonetheless.
Just barely before that knife hit him, too. So they find the timing, they deny the spike.
Where do they go from here, though, if you're Fury? You rotate back, Bustio's spotting mid, or was spotting mid.
They do have time to pivot. And because Bustio's been pulled all the way over here to place a lockdown
30
down,
seconds
he's
left.
now rushing back towards this B site to get his util up, but there's 2 nanos there. So the fact that he does get it back up is horrible for the 2 players left on Furia.
Swarm grenade out.
Yeah, the timing here is
Placing
gorgeous for
swarm
Bustio,
grenade.
man.
Swarm grenade out.
You shall not pass A, you shall
10
not pass
seconds
B.
left.
And now with time dwindling, all Fury can really do is sit back and watch. Try to save the weapons and live to fight another day.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, that nade is huge! Oh my goodness!
Both
That's so cool! finds him through the wall.
And remember, those are two rifles they needed to carry into the next round.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Those types of little things, capitalizing in situations like this, are actually what Leviathan was not able to do when Furia came back against them on Ascent, on this map, where Furia really turned heads. And tech pause called. Wonder if there's a... actually.
We'll wait. we'll wait to see what's going on.
See you.
Tech pause online. As soon as we get info, we'll keep you all updated. It sounds like it is an audio issue, is what I'm being told. So once we get that sorted, we'll get back into the action and everything will be right as rain. But for now, once again, if you are just joining us, EG starting off this series hot.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that, the beginning of that round, because it was out of a timeout. It was out of a timeout from Furia called. And EG going for this really cool play. The replay showing right now. Where they're playing aggressive with Giacomo, they're TPing up into his own one-way. And the cool part about that is I think they're fully countering the idea from Furia, which is they had that no command up.
Yeah.
Right? So you're looking maybe, hey, maybe if I catch the KO early before he pops it at all, that entire idea that they talked about throughout the timeout is nullified. You could see that happen a lot with big power ults like a KO, like a Killjoy ult, something like that, where the ideas are few and far between in terms of like how many you can go for.
Yeah.
EG look comfortable, man. They look really comfortable. This is a far cry from even what we saw last week against Crew.
You know, it's funny you say that. I was just thinking, even to have the confidence to go for a play like that, right? Because that goes sideways. All of a sudden, you're down in numbers, and you're kind of going to be overwhelmed on A, given the null command or whatever it is that's waiting on the other side. It's just bold out from EG. But we are back into the action. Once again, a 4-round lead for EG on the defensive side. Furia broke, but with some tools at their disposal, the Blades being one of them.
Looking for a quick pick. Demon 1 has been in mid every single time, and now you're seeing the smoke come in.
Oh dear, that could have been something.
He's full blind there.
Yeah, he was flashed to high heaven. He couldn't see a thing.
It's a great flash from Azine. Now the TP comes in from Giacomo. Oh my goodness!
That's DG's in, all right. Hunter's Fury now used from MW, trying to clear out backside. Tag onto one. A little bit of info confirmed, but that's all it is. Ethan's gone aggressive. He's trying to creep his way in.
This is an eco from Furia. They're about to win.
What can Calm do in this 1v3? Understanding presence of where one is. The swing out is there, but the kill is not. A thrifty round win for Furia.
What is that from MW too? Just starting to pre-fire the stairs. Expecting Calm to try to fight so that they cannot threaten and rotate away from him. But even still, Furia there. That fast mid push, obviously that flash on the Demon 1 was massive. He was full blind for like, what, 5 seconds there, it felt like.
Yeah.
And then the follow-up too, pushing up out of market, but not really pushing back B, especially after Giacomo goes for that early TP. And they ult backside where Calm has been playing and where they know Giacomo TP to. Get so much value out of the Hunter's Fury.
Scanning ahead.
Calm going for a little something cheeky there. Spam into tiles off the dart. Maybe get a free one.
Something cheeky every round here, it feels like from EG. And again, big part of Furia's win condition. It's trying to spring these traps early so that they can get into the room where they excel at, where they brawl, where they're taking dry fights. They might not even get into those opportunities though here on the attack.
Placing swarm grenade.
Furia investing in the lockdown to try to create some space in A, as they've got a split going on. The Paranoia 2 traded back. Giacomo standing right by it, but he was flashed. Once again, the flash from Furia finds success.
Might want to be a flood here to actually capitalize on Ethan and his no command up. Suppressing everybody from Furia right now.
Lucio looking to make a play. Finding his way out right into his death. Demon 1 not able to land anything with the blades.
And ever since that one round where Giacomo went really aggressive A main, Furia has come out swinging on that thrifty round that we just saw, and now this one too. A phenomenal plan. Getting mid control, forcing Demon 1 off. and then going for an A main lockdown where EG, because of how often they're going for these little type of microaggressions on either side of the map, that leaves a lot of gaps. So you actually had QCK just walk into A main by himself, not challenge a single time, fully allowing that strat. This is a Cloud9 play.
And it's different. I think that's the key here too. You see how Furia are starting to get a beat on mid presence, particularly for Demon 1. They try to set him up for something different, but no success found.
And Furia was really ready for this.
Yeah, they were.
One thing that they're doing often is dodging the knives early. And so you can see them falling all the way back away from this, ready to actually receive this, but not because they were expecting it. It's a nice kill out from Boostio, but they've got to do a lot more. Thankfully, the round has slowed down with that smoke falling.
Yeah. EG not in a position to scoop up the weapon that was dropped either.
There's still danger here. I mean, this cat setup is incredibly advanced, and you're using your drone already, so you're not going to be able to use that to walk up cat with it. Glow clears all the way up top mid, but they're getting info here too. I don't know if they're going to rotate off, but they're at least giving advanced warning here to EG, the players on B.
It seems like they're considering. You see Ethan is taking a couple steps backwards. Now with that dart, he stays. The hit, inevitable.
It's a fast flank.
I like this from them, yeah. They want to try to apply pressure. With the lighter weaponry, maybe with numbers, they can convert something. Furia has taken all of B. They're going to try to continue to scare their way out.
What a dart! What a dart!
Calm's dart is good, but Furia is better. The swing up from Calm to get one. The Sheriff not landing from Jogamo. And Furia take another.
And this has already entered extremely devastating area here for EG. We talk about this map-sidedness a lot, but it is one of the few defensive-sided maps, and it is very defensive-sided.
Yeah, it's not just a little bit.
Especially when you talk about these comps that both teams are playing. It's the standard. We're very familiar with how this plays out. And we've already seen Furia come back from a 9-3 attacking side loss. So for them, 4 rounds is more than comfortable. May I remind you, against Leviathan, that 9-3 first half that they lost came back for them to a 13-10. So they only lost 1 round on defense. The desk was talking about how this was the best defensive side team on Ascent in the league. So I'm seriously concerned here. EG, I'm sure Potter and the rest of the team are thinking that right now, but I do see a lot more comfort for the team so far that they can lean into.
I just wonder what they dial up next out of this, right? We've seen Demon 1 explore mid. We've seen them try to set him up towards B as well. There just hasn't been very much A presence, so perhaps you try to go aggressively there to get an early peek. Other than Jogamo's play with the teleport a couple of rounds ago, there hasn't been very much other than that. Now up in the hands of Demon 1 again.
He hasn't been super variable with that. I think some things that some Jet Ops struggle with is swapping too much on this defensive side, but you do have to try to float.
And he's floated towards A. You see the setup. Aggressive looking. But how pacey do they get?
Ethan's knifing across map right now.
He's crept up really far. There are a lot of members on the other side of this wall. Ooh, great shot from Demon 1.
And they try to punish. They just use their flash. So Furia, big tool gone. Not only in the fact that that's Mazine who went down, the flash is gone, but also the paranoia. So no initiation tools.
A lot of value for EG early in this round. It's giving back.
What?
Giving right back. QCK with 2 massive kills, and now the side has been lost. What can Jogamo do to keep him back? He's gotten 1, trying to reposition.
Ambitious.
Very ambitious. It's a good word to put it. Boostio has slipped the net. He gets 2 big ones.
And look at him run away immediately after those 2 taps.
What an emotional roller coaster. Back and forth.
And they hear him fall off right now. He's staying. He is.
That's bold.
It's funny because the speed at which that happened, Boostio put that lockdown a little farther back, so you actually give MW some space to look for that pick.
I wonder.
30 seconds left.
We'll talk about it in a moment. Comp's position spotted. MW with a little bit of util and a tag on 1. Just has to guess where the other one is. So long as he takes, there's more of the ability for repositioning. But he knows, he's wise to it.
Boostio picked up the op.
Yeah, he's just waiting for the challenge. He swings around, 10 seconds left.
10 seconds left.
Trying to be careful on how he positions, and it's not enough. Bustio with a massive round. It also looked like, and I don't know if you saw it, but it looked like he got through that door very quickly.
Yes.
It was like a burst through, and I don't know if he had prepped it and weakened it a little bit and then exploded through or what that was, but that was very, very fast. Very explosive.
It's something that's happened many times. You're right, he did prep it while the first smoke went down as that door started coming down.
10 seconds left.
And I think as well, Furia didn't recognize that he tempered that a little bit. But that's multiple times now as well that EG has rushed through that door and gotten that exact same peak. Netting them, I think, oh, again, the same play. You can't go for that more than once.
Yeah, fool me twice. Shame on me and Furia. This time they were ready for it.
And they've lost their A anchor. Jogamo has been such a thorn in Furia's side whenever they push that site. Always good for one, if not more.
Perhaps Bustio can find some success and some magic. It's a great setup. Demon 1 close by. Bustio, the 1-2 punch is good.
No charges left.
KCK once again trying to equalize things for Furia.
Oh, but look at this. MW's made the right call. They took down Bustio in this round, so he immediately pounces on land knowing. As Demon 1 barely misses that shot there.
Aye, that was a tiny timing, man.
Lights down. My up initiated.
Either way, Furia through. Lockdown invested early.
They could take space off of this. Look how far advanced this is and how far away the EG players are now. So they can threaten to take space and do what they're doing right now. That dart with the Hunter's Fury is very bold, but that could be huge.
Tom's in trouble.
Player standing.
But they know where he is now.
Yeah, it's just MW in this position, and Demon 1 with the op shot gets the kill.
It's interesting to see Furia in the way that they're playing right now. Every time they spot an EG player, it feels chaotic in the sense that they're rushing down to try to find them.
Last round.
In this round, Demon 1 with that first kill. The rest of the players start to try to follow up. Because in the past, Demon 1 has been alone, but that's not always going to be the case. So you're not seeing the same discipline that we've seen from Furia in the past. And maybe that hangover from the loss against Loud might be following up here.
Bustio's keeping the op. Seems like Ka may want to go for something fast here.
Maybe they go for that Cloud9 push through. B main again. It's the same flash. It's the same smoke.
It's the same dash, too. It's the same amount of space garnered. Demon 1 up close, this time finding value out of the blades. The second, the third, up high, tries to get back and fails, but he's done the damage.
He's done more than enough already. That's such a cool way to get that B main control. First, the flash behind the box. Both of these flashes are completely perfect for Demon 1 to make that push. MW's been working a lot on his own, and I think it's because Furia has been losing a lot of these first kill engagements.
I think that MW should have, yeah. If it didn't spot, Com said previously, the utility, everything else just kind of confirms the suspicions. So what do they have here? They've cleared some of tree. They have some mid presence. Where do they go? They have Khalil Salt. QCK is a little weak though.
This is the last round of the half, so you want to get those ults out. It's a fake towards B.
30 seconds left.
But they don't hear them following up. Com's got the info.
And Jogamo's a little ahead of it. You see that smoke early in A main. It's going to force a dry swing out. And Khalil finds success out of it. MW does too.
They've made this situation so much better for themselves. The dart for the spam is so cool. And he's going to rotate all the way back towards A main. That's a good idea, but I wonder if Khalil can hear him. No, not with that TP.
I thought for sure Khalil was going to hear.
He's up top. MW. Oh, my goodness.
Dropping down. Furia huddled up. Time is of the essence here. Ethan and Com are going to have to go pretty quickly. Waiting for the right moment to strike, and it's all down in hell. Ethan tries to go up top, spots one, not able to hit the transfer on the second as Furia get to 5.
And that's a conversion after, remember, losing two players to Demon 1's aggression. And over, Furia was put in those situations, and they were not converting on those 4v5s.
7-5 lead for EG. Let's throw it down to the desk to break down that first half.
Thank you so very much. I wasn't expecting the single on just me. But we've got a round advantage here for Evil Geniuses on the defensive half. Sean, what's your take here on the performance on Ascent so far?
I've been pretty impressed. I don't know if 7's enough against a team like Furia, but man, Boostio from pistol to running in the A side on that quick retake where he dropped the lockdown, and then Demon 1, just the aggression, taking control mid, getting those opening picks there, A main, B main. He was all over the map. So I love the different looks EG has brought in this first half.
Yeah, it's been good from EG, but the thing is, you're now heading into this second half where Furia is incredible. This B-roll is from the last time this team played this map against the Vietnam. The casters were talking about this, but they were down 9-3, and they ran a 10-1 comeback to get back into the game. The way they play the defensive side is incredible. Both Khalil is absolutely fantastic at anchoring on this on the Omen roll, and W as well is consistently solid here. It's so difficult to break through, and this is where we've seen EG's woes. They have struggled to find an ID in the mid-round.
Yeah, bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you saw those stats, 16-1 in defensive rounds here for Furia. So while 7-5 sounds good in isolation, Sean, when you add those stats into it, now it's all of a sudden looking pretty scary. We didn't build enough of a cushion.
It is, but DGZin is chilling at 3-12 right now, y'all. Like, this is a bad performance for him. He's normally popping off. And if this is an off day for him, the defensive side of Ascent will suffer massively.
I'm looking at Boostio. He's been great as an individual, but here's where the calling has to come into play. The mid-rounds have looked stagnant. They struggle at denying information in previous matches. If they've worked on that, as we heard from their last match, they focused on the fundamentals and definitely seen this Ascent coming, maybe there's a chance, but against Furia defense, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, a 2-round lead is absolutely nothing to scoff at, but there's plenty of runway left for Furia to take this one back and grab that W on map number 1. Diving back into Ascent, we're handing things back over to Doug and Bala.
Thank you, Dash. It feels like a dire picture has been painted in the face of the slight lead, but lead for EG nonetheless. Are you in the same camp? Does this look not great, even given the lead?
I think that with the history, with what they've said about the 16-1 defensive record for Furia, yeah, it looks dire. But for me, I'm looking at the EG who's feeling comfortable, who's going for things that they're working with their game plan.
Yeah.
But then again, I think about the old EG that we saw in the first 2 weeks, the EG that we saw at lock-in, where their attack was almost dreadful. And so I put these two things in combination. I wonder how they can. Is the comfort going to be enough? They've got to convert a pistol.
Create a bit of a cushion and establish some sort of space between them and Furia. As again, historically, Furia are freaking ridiculous on this side of the map.
I am seeing a Furia as well on that first half who is not feeling as comfortable, who is making a lot of unforced errors. There's the first pick, though, for DGZin.
Your timing immaculate as DGZin had no unforced error. He just patiently waited to see if anyone was going to test the waters B, and he was rewarded for it. Either way, EG trying to take space A. They haven't cleared tree. They haven't fully even cleared outside yet.
They've got a kill setup for Calm here. Yeah, that was 2 mollies just melted him.
They never really had control at all.
This is way too aggressive, though. But either way, Mazin coming in as well. I was worried because DGZin was so far away there. But the patience there from Fury, they played full retake on that, allowed EG to take the site, and then they had that kill setup on tree.
It felt like they were just lulled into a trap.
Yeah. Look at those 2 mollies going off. Shock darts going on the plant, too. That is a beautifully played pistol there from Furia. And we go 1-1 on those pistols on this map. But that buffer that you were asking for EG if they want to convert this game is potentially going to be spent in the first 2 rounds of the second half.
DG set up across the middle of the map with a Marshall. No target given quite yet in the face of the smoke. Has to reposition.
Good timing here as well, MW. Just avoiding Ethan's knife. And then walking up, getting ready to drone as there's any other info on the rest of the map. This flash, my Zin's going for it. 2 dinks.
2 dinks, even through all the spam. Coming from the middle of the map, it's just classics from that distance. There's not a ton available.
Lucio's out on site now. By a mistake from MW, he droned through the window and not the lane.
That's Valorant timing.
Spike down B.
MW with 2, Ethan with plenty of targets. Drops 1. I liked what EG were trying to do there. You smoke off DG at the beginning, and then you put in a deeper smoke. You're able to scale up with it and perhaps try to flood out on a B or, you know, wherever you decide to go about it. But Furia were just ahead of the play.
Yeah, I mean, they got 2 kills. With the investment from Furia, it actually was a little bit more significant on the anti-eco than other teams are going for.
Turret out.
So they almost are able to cancel the bonus here, but MW staying with that Bulldog, keeping it in the last is going to be critical. But they've made it very easy for them, for EG to win this anti-bonus.
Suppressing. One suppressed.
Just never feels like a done deal. Demon 1 getting tagged by that knife.
Placing
For
alarm
EG,
bot.
it's still a spread. Spread setup. Also the dart, the flash through, and Ethan's in a serious trouble. There's good help.
They know MW's here. They follow back up through mid. That could be really scary. Khalil's doing a great job keeping A main off. He's been doing that every single round so far. Smoke at B. I was looking at the util that Boostia was setting up as the IGL. And it looked like they were maybe indicating towards a B hit. And with Calm now droning over there, Khalil's gonna get aggressive because of that to try to go for some info. And Digison's left here with no weapon.
Oh, he's gonna want to swing out. He's got a Sheriff, and there's nothing he can do to connect with it. 3 on the round for Ethan. The sight for Evil Geniuses. And it's just a 2-man flank left for Furia. Calm, did he hear it? He may have, but either way, MW lands a shot.
30 seconds left. Spike planted. Alarm bot
Now
down.
Busio not wanting to get caught in a similar situation, understanding there's pressure coming in from A main.
Ethan might have a flash for them now. He's all the way up in the smoke, Kevin.
Enemy remaining. Bot coming back.
Drogma there for the trade, good for it. QCK left in the 1v2. Has to take care of the remaining defenses, and then still has to get the defuse. The tap there, just a threat. Ethan puts 2 in the back of his head as he gets 4.
Cover going out.
And that one, even though Furia went for that aggression, you could tell Mazin was really trying to find themselves an advantage. He was going a little bit far and beyond what the play even asked for by chasing down that kill in Sabrosa. But he loses the weapon. Digison's not able to capitalize and get anything else, and they end up coming out of that even. And now Ethan's got that no command because that 4K he just got. In the 4th round here on this attack, that is huge. But look, Furia have an anti-KO setup. The Killjoy's playing all the way top mid. And he's not gonna get hit by this, so those nano swarms are gonna pop.
Yeah, all that utility's still good. Demon 1 the first through it. There's an op in the hands of DG, as you just heard. Oh, the spam is there for MW, man. MW's been so good.
He had a delayed dart landing there too because he was definitely in range of that no command.
Spike planted.
EG plant the spike. Demon 1 falls. Furia have such a good setup here. Look at how they can just kind of trap and contain EG. Strike when they want. Oh, Calm almost did that. Ethan has to try to hold the line, and he cannot.
And that is a gorgeous counter call out from Furia. In the first half, EG was making a lot of really nice ones, but there, Furia just goes for the simple anti-KO. And I think there, MW, with that delayed landing dart, that's something that a lot of Sova players do against no commands, is throw something that takes a lot longer to land. So that while they're actually coming out, that's when he can get that spam off. That is beautiful from MW, plus the setup from QCK so far away. Now EG's left in shambles economically. And this is the struggles.
And it's while Furia at a strong point. You saw both Mazin and MW were 1 point away from having their ult. They decide to give it to MW. They decide to get the Hunter's Fury online. You see the spam in through B main already.
Oh, wow.
Took a decent amount of damage, yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Patient on the trigger. Choosing not to avail himself of the utility for the time being.
Spike dropped.
What's the plan here?
Just still trying to duel and battle with MW's Odin. He's buying that Guardian specifically for that battle. Interested in this spike swap over to Ethan. That's probably the person you're trying to get those ult orbs up. So on this eco, if the idea is just to get this plant down, see if they can do it. Digizen's trained on this angle though. He's very close. He's not able to dash away really.
Is there a knife? No. Oh, there is. But he's gonna peek ahead of it. He gets ahead of the knife and he gets two!
With one shot.
That would have been filthy.
Enemy remaining.
And yeah, it was a kill for Jogamo, and the op goes down, but Furia take the lead back.
What an insanely risky play from Digizen.
But that's a Furia play, is it not?
That's
I mean,
a
is that
Digizen
not
play.
Digizen play right there?
For sure. And given the first half scoreline by him, you want him to get online.
I think he was 3 and 12 at half. Something like that. It wasn't good.
Now up to 10 and 14. He's definitely come up. One thing though, the reason I say that's so risky is that's against an anti-eco, and he walks up forward as the hit is about to come in through Cat. And oftentimes that's the great spot to hit. They're gonna dash top mid here.
EG ready for it, has been spotted. The flash is there. Ethan falls. EG looking for more. As the chaos across the middle of the site ensues, EG somehow walk away from this better off.
And they're leaving the spike right now because Jogamo has his ult, so they're giving up that fight knowing Furia is going to hit hard to follow up with that as a reaction into this P site. Jogamo has to go in though.
Spike gathered. ECK shows he's just as good with that thing as well. Calm falls. Now some of the initiator utility, really all they had down to.
Not ready yet.
But they've gotten into the site.
Sure, but now 3v2.
In the face of a lockdown and a no command.
So if it's knife, is he going to use it early?
This is big for Boostio. If he can get this kill on the scene, that's a big one.
I mean, he just gave up his position and didn't have any info to follow up on it.
QCK should be the next massive obstacle they have to overcome. If Boostio can stay alive, what a shot! What a shot from Boostio!
Okay, he's off. Now, where's the
That might have just been a fatal
He's ready.
3v2 loss and fatal investments of those ults from Furia.
Oh, y'all don't get quiet now just because it's on you guys.
Enemy remaining.
This is what I'm talking about though. QCK puts the lockdown down in a 2v2 really far back. That was not going to guarantee the round by any means. And they also use Muzin's ult there too, so those tools are no longer available to them.
Overthink it.
And we've got a close game.
That feels like a massive fumble. But can they equalize? Blades online for Demon 1. And op in hand for DG. MW is very far up here. Boostio spotted. Patient about it. Yep, you found him. Just making sure. Any turret killers? Start is good. Boostio feeling some of the pressure. The alarm bot's keeping DG at bay. Well handled.
He's 54 HP for nothing. Ethan got spammed through mid at the same time though, so go for tit for tat.
Once again, exploring B main. MW creeping forward. Boostio still the first to receive, and he cannot. MW's weak as Mazin gets 3.
Excuse me, where does that come from?
I thought he was going to get the 4th, but Jogama's there to trade back.
And I don't know if they actually recognize that MW is with them there, so Jogamo and Demon 1. Demon 1's so far advanced in middle that there's no way he has that information. And they have so much to consider.
left.
There's too many angles right now.
Too many angles, and look at where Fury's playing. You mentioned MW. He's so far back. He's in spawn, and he's just tucked. He doesn't have to do anything here. As soon as they get info communicated, he can make his move. Now, understanding the hits towards A, that paranoia is gorgeous.
Time.
Hits them both, and yeah, time was of the essence, and there was not enough to go around for EG. Furia take the lead back.
And that's a nice little play there. Digi's in with the aggro early. Dashes away. That's when you expect that the B main aggression is gone and done for. But Mazin follows up with MW on it. And they're targeting Boostio down right now. I thought that was going to be a big part of the game plan for EG was against Khalil, who has been so devastating on these lurks. and picking opponents apart by himself on certain parts of the map, but it's actually Furia who's taking it to Boostio, who's consistently on that B main lurk.
And he's done well for EG so far, but you're right. It just feels like there may be too much going on here. We saw it in the opening round of the pistol.
Yeah.
The opening round of the half, Boostio was targeted on that late lurk, and it was a conversion for Furia.
And something that's worth talking about for sure is how these early engagements have been going in this game, but most particularly on the defensive side. There's definitely a lead in the first duels in that first half for Furia, but so far in this game, it's now 14-5 for them. And rounds like that are moments why EG really struggle on the attack in that factor.
14-5, and the map is this close.
That's the difficulty of that attack side, right? You could have that advantage all you want, but as I said at the end, right, 4v5 conversion for Furia, those are really difficult.
Furia hanging on to a one-round lead. You see it on the timeline. It's gone back and forth, but Furia have been able to overcome the deficit and now find themselves hanging on to one. Oh, those blades are good! That was no setup. There was no dart.
No.
There was no flash over the top. It was just DG making a play.
Yeah, he got smoked off. He's like, okay, I don't want to just be useless here. He pops his knives. And that's something you have to be ready for as EG when knives are available. He's on for 3 at this point. Anti-eco. But farm those while you can.
What a devastating start. And you're right, it is just a pistol round for EG, so not all is lost.
Looks like Jogma's gonna flash for Com to try to take some space. He's running up on it, but DG is still here. Up for the ace now.
Just on the other side, the flash is there. He was patient with it, and he's rewarded with the ace.
Nasty round from Digizin.
Potentially backbreaking.
He has turned it up. I mean, yeah, Digizin continues to go crazy. But EG expected to lose that round. And that's the confidence you want from this guy. You saw the swag he had walking into the arena.
Mm-hmm.
He continues it in the server.
A tale of two halves for DG in this opening map, as he is just lit up. Evil Geniuses on the defensive side.
I love this call from Mazin. He actually goes in Knives A main and then rotates off immediately after setting up Khalil. Whereas Digizin was just waiting for that anchor. Open the dart! He's full blind. He wants to get in a better position. He thinks that smoke is going to cover, but it fades.
Timing out on his side.
That's unfortunate. I think they wanted to go for a mid-trap there. And that is the first opening engagement that EG wins on this half.
Furia numbers down. And with this, EG decided they want to take the rest of the round slow. Waiting for the right moment to strike. And they have tools. They have the Hunter's Fury. They have the No Command. They have the Lockdown as well. All explosive ults that should be able to secure you a round win on attack. Big one out from Boostio as well. There's the Hunter's Fury. You wonder how much more they want to invest here. As DG's been able to dance around the Hunter's Fury. The pulse is not landing. The op does, though.
No way. Reposition.
How is he still alive?
Teammates are here now.
It's just him, and eventually the spam comes through.
And they do manage to convert.
I'll shut them down.
Off of that early pick on NW.
Survive.
And Furia getting pushed here on this defensive side. They have not been pushed so far in this league on Ascent.
Turret out.
A reminder, before this game, they only lost 1 round on defense. EG already putting them at 3. Extra.
Kill all your opponents.
Thank you, KO. That is the point of the game.
I thought it was a spike.
Powerless.
Lockdown used by Ethan, but the spam from MW. I mean, he hasn't really been moved. He hasn't taken a single bit of damage. Demon's on the dash. The Paranoia's pushing them back. Are they going to be able to funnel their way out? Because they still haven't established enough control of the site. MW finally dealt with.
Wow.
And an opening for EG.
You do not expect them to push with the lockdown before the lockdown pops. So MW thinks he has a lot more time there. They do not. And it's a save called from Furia.
Early, too.
That B site's so incredibly difficult to retake in man-down situations. And they need to save all these guns. EG actually have a bank, surprisingly. But I'm curious as to why nobody's really exploring us at this point in the round.
Yeah, perhaps patient with it. Even if they do decide to try to hunt out, they're not going to get there in time. So Furia should carry these weapons into the next. Operator still in play for DG. Cozy in there, huh?
He's just having fun with it, man. 11-11.
And a timeout for Furia late on Ascent.
Figure out how to make the best use of the 3 weapons they've brought into this round.
That's really all it is, too. They don't have any ultimates to work with.
And for Furia, again, lauded as a really solid defensive team. Right now, the pressure's on. Whereas EG come into this half thinking, okay, this is going to be tough. But it also relieves them of some pressure in that sense. Whereas for Furia, they're thinking right now they're throwing an opportunity given to them.
You know, we had so much conversation around the 7-5 half. Is it going to be enough? Right, there were a lot of people who said no, right, given the history of Furia. But honestly, if not for the 7-5 half, you think about how it's been a little back and forth, but Furia have won more rounds on this side. If not for that 7-5 half being as close as it was, who knows what's going on for Furia?
Yeah. That's a good point. The game would be over in any other typical Ascent game. It's not the world we live in, though, Furia. With the op still, you're right in the fact that there's really no power ults in the next couple of rounds. Mazin might get his, but on defense, it's a lot more difficult to find value out of. So we're going dry in the next 2 for this battle. Meanwhile, Furia as well. I mean, their economy is not great to last into overtime if they do lose this round.
You saw the lineup from Boostio, intended to clear the Killjoy utility from the defensive side, but QCK was there, destroys it before it pops.
And early kill from Digizin again into tiles. Boostio's got to respond right now. And he doesn't.
I thought Boostio had a shot at 2 there even, with how they were lining up, but a great response from QCK. And now it's EG who find themselves down.
And Jogma's so far from this hit, too.
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out.
The benefit for the attacking side is they still will have money, but that does put Furia at map point, assuming this goes the way we think it will.
Flashbang.
Flash set up. Demon 1 dashes out right into the face of QCK and gets a kill anyway.
QCK with the forward movement there. That is actually quite difficult, and they've gotten their way into this B site. Remember, Furia just saved when this came through.
30 seconds
That
left.
volley's good. Push things back a little bit further. Ethan getting the spike down.
Planted.
A great swing from
even.
Jogamo as he wants to scale. He wants to go further. He wants to get more, but he cannot. Now 3v2 still in favor of Furia. Time ticking. DG with the op. Second flash, this time not hitting Demon 1. As he's so weak, but so patient.
Last player standing.
It's all on to Demon 1 now with 30 HP. He gets a first, and that's all he gets. Furia get the defuse. Furia get to map point.
And they needed that one. They lost that round. It was going to be basically a force buy coming into this next.
Match
So
point.
for them to convert right there gives them
They're desperate.
the opportunity. Close out right now, but also secure overtime. Not what you expected after that 7-5 half, but
Nope.
here we are. EG really
Furia gets a map point.
putting on a good face today in this matchup. And remember, they were the first North American team to get a win intra-regionally here in the Americas League. Not what you expected, but that win over Crew last week.
This feels like DG trying to make a play and put him away. The turret gonna spot him. Busio waiting on the other side, and what a shot. The spam expecting more, and it never comes.
What ego there for Busio to hold that against what he knows is an op.
Oh, I respect it, though. Game's all about confidence, and he showed it there.
And that was an Odin purchased with the extra bank, too. So he was not planning on actually fighting through here with that.
Yeah, now Phantom in hand. And plenty of options. How impatient are Furia here? It looks like they want to fight mid. Not a single sound across the site. 24th round here. Potentially the last of regulation. Potentially the last of the map. Now EG wanting to go forward. Jogamo getting his ult ready. Commits to it, gets onto the site. And he commits it. He sticks it.
They're not fighting though, so... Oh!
That's huge from Com! And there's gonna be a late flank coming in from Busio, so even if they lose
30
tree,
seconds left.
Busio should be there on the space, and Busio is there on the
Spike
kill.
planted.
Now MW left in this 1v4. Not a whole lot of time. He gets one, but he's flashed now. Mazie not
Last
able to really be
player
rezzed as he
standing.
has to sit and watch as his teammate dies.
Let's deal with the right click from Demon 1, too.
MW, this would be a miracle. You're not just facing the 3 members of EG that remain, but you're trying to race the clock as well. And every second that passes is another possibility of this not going your way. But he's got to be patient about it. Has to tank so much damage. The nanos, the turrets, Demon's Blades. 26 HP now. Dart in hand. And he's not going to be able to pull it off. Overtime on the cards in this opening best of 3.
What a wild outcome here on map 1.
Overtime.
To go to overtime after what we've seen from these
30
teams.
seconds
I think most people expected this to be a stomp for Furia. An easy ride.
Yeah.
And here they are being challenged on the very first map. What a way to start off this series.
Remember, Ascent, this is Furia's map pick here. Hot off of a loss, a brutal loss to Loud just last week. And once again, they find themselves off kilter, wavering, wobbling, and now potentially feeling the implications of another map loss.
You thought for Digizin, his mouth would be watering at a chance to reach back the upper echelons in the standings because they were up at the top at the beginning of the season after week 2. But it has been a slow start for, I think, everybody on this team. I think especially Khalil not having the same level that we saw in those first 2 weeks. Back on the attack side, though, they had, I mean, obviously both these teams matched blow for blow their attack sides. Brutal spam coming in. QCK is down to 56.
DG's in is taking care of one. Is he going to be able to take care of the other remaining member on the site? Because it's just Com. No. Com still holding the line. The shock dart in his lap, waiting for the spam. The right click gets one. Is that going to be enough, though? Is it going to be enough delay? Is it going to be enough damage?
I think with the position of QCK, this definitely could be enough. MW's playing close on the stairs, too, so the swing could be massive.
They've got to clear out QCK here. Or he can just have a meal with this round. He can destroy them by himself. Khalil's on the first, MW's on the second, and QCK set up for the last. Ethan's gotten one. 1v2 here, the molly to delay, the molly to deny. Ethan on the swing, understanding there is one there, and QCK gets him anyway.
Good choice of round approach there from Furia, following up
Switching
immediately.
sides. Match point.
After starting this first overtime and going quick into B, challenging Com and Boostio to hold down a rush, which we didn't really see much on the attack side. No real fast rounds from Furia outside of the eco attempts. But here is where both sides, I think, have faltered this defense for Furia right now.
Turret out.
A similar situation to the end of the half, and they couldn't close it out. Now they're on match point again.
And again, reminder, 16-1 Oh, indeed, they had lost one defensive round on Ascent.
Up to this point, but that record shrinking rapidly.
Will their defensive woes continue? Or will they be able to put EG away? It's a 3-stack towards B.
It's so funny. Furia, you look at it on the mini-map right now, they're rotating all over the place. Really flustered, it looks like, whereas EG is just holding fast with this default, allowing Demon 1 to space, and it leads to Digizin going down early, and Furia have not been good in these situations.
Dude, and they know it's Boostio there. It's been him every freaking round, and they still cannot deal with him.
They've only converted a single 4v5 out of 8 this game. You're at least hoping for 4 conversions, 3 conversions out of total. But none, this might do it though. Messian in the cheeky angle.
Oh, but it gets traded back. Khalil keeping numbers equal for now, 3v3.
And this is the start on these 4v5s, is just getting to even.
Boostio has to find value here. He's the tip of the spear. He's the first to go. With QCK just on the other side of the smoke, I don't think he knows. The flash is good though. The flash is great. That could have saved the round. EG now pushing forward, 13 seconds left. Khalil the first on the peak from heaven.
10 seconds
He gets
left.
the kill.
Spike planted.
2v2 now as the round continues to go back and forth.
Cover going
A
out.
pendulum keeping things at the edge. And now with time a factor, Furia decide to pause.
MW's got his dart.
Scanning ahead.
Cheeky little dart. No tag, only 1 bullet shot as well. So no knowledge that there are 2 down here. They're patient, they're waiting. Fury are gonna have to approach this from a couple of different angles, and time is of the essence. They don't really have time to think this one, do they? Have to go fast. So 1 for 1, and Ethan wins it out! We go again!
Don't make a fuss.
Switching sides. Overtime.
Evil Geniuses defends against 2 map points. And Ethan, a massive round to bring us back into a second overtime, just cold.
Not a single reaction on the guy's face.
Land Ethan is a sight to behold. It's been so good. So happy we get to see this a little bit more frequently.
We got a little shark action going on.
Potentially just fainting
There's
it
the
here
dart.
too. But Digizit's going way aggressive.
Too aggressive.
Last round he got into B site because of it, but this time there's nobody in yet.
They're still spamming through. They haven't made their way out of B main. That's another kill for EG.
Talk about these situations where Furia has struggled so far in this game. It's moments like these, losing these first engagements. And it's so difficult here even to bring it back to even. Mazi needs to go huge, but he's lurking as the KO. Trying to find a player to rotate, trying to find a player getting a little too much, but look at the setup from EG. They've got 1 player logs, 1 player tucked in boathouse by the switch. They're happy to play that cross.
What a massive opportunity for EG. Now Furia equalizing things a little bit. Timing from Mazine is everything.
Placing sentry.
The peek out, he spotted them both, but he gave his position away. Now they know.
Stuck now.
Oh,
Mazine,
How's he not dead?
one. He's gonna swing for the second, and he gets it!
His team's coming now.
30 seconds left.
He's just bought all the time and bought the site. And no command too, they've got to stay away from it. Giacomo still has a number of key utility pieces still up. He's gonna have both of his smokes for this retake.
Battle scarred, travel worn, Furia down in numbers, and they snatch it right back. They get the spike down, they have a numbers advantage. And they have positioning. You got the alarm bot, you've got the nano, a second one waiting. And it's all just delay. It doesn't even really matter if it does damage or not now. How much longer can you keep them back? Giacomo the first to go, Ethan the first to fall, and another round for Furia.
I thought we were traveling there to a match point for EG, but
Switching sides. Match point.
maybe Furia needs to equalize a little later. What a play. We saw the intention the entire time. Mazine staying in B main. You saw he was going to try to pick apart the rotates. And that's EG over-rotating in that instance. Mazine finds the keys, finds the hole, and takes both of them down?
That was insane.
You have to remember how that round started. Digizin dives super fast, gets blind while he's trying to dash over top of the switch house. And he just dies to Calm.
You wonder here, we talked about it in that round. It felt like EG was gifted an opportunity in a 5v3, knowing that they can take map point, and given how they've been able to take care of Furia's defense consistently, maybe this is their window. But once again, you find yourselves on map point, going on to what should be Furia's stronger side. How many times can you defy statistics? That's the question for EG here.
When is the law of averages going to come into play? Or is the stats an anomaly so far? I'm seeing a very animated Mazin on the side of Furia. And I think one hole you have to start fixing is Digizin. And the amount of challenging he's doing towards Boostio. Every single defensive side round that we've seen in the past, 5, he's challenged Boostio and lost that duel. And this time, no glass cannon. This time, relying on the Vandal, the rifle. But you can tell Digizin has been playing as a hero.
One suppressed.
Enemy tagged.
A couple of dueling drones as they pass right by one another. But no info gathered other than that. There's also no aggressive challenge towards Boostio this round.
There.
Towards B main, you look at where DG is. He's all the way at A. And they may have a jump on this thing.
They might have to read, see if the alarm bot pulls anybody. I don't know if it will. Masin's actually just taking this opportunity to challenge and isolate Boostio.
Boostio may be in trouble.
He's stuck.
He has no idea. Numbers Furia. What can EG do here? They just crumble. That's all they can do. They fall apart. EG push, but Furia stands stalwart and take map 1.
The Panthers hold in a completely incredible challenge from Evil Geniuses. And I think they'll walk away with that feeling pretty good, given the fact that they were pushed, that was a difficult map overall, and EG has to, I mean, again, expectations for this team. Maybe it was different for them. Maybe they were very happy with how scrims were going. But still, you expected Furia to look incredible and overmatch this team. So we might have ourselves a real series here, which is so incredibly exciting.
Remember, this was Furia's map pick statistically for good reason. We understand. I mean, they rocked the world on this map. They're finally able to take care of their defensive woes, but the thing is, Fracture's on the other side, Bala, and that's EG's pick.
Yeah, that's EG's pick, and I think, again, we were talking about how the desk was wanting them to lean into those gimmicks. We saw so many of these micro plays on this map, but from something standard too. So you really hope that they can really shine in a place that Furia is going to be super, super unfamiliar with.
Take a look at that ace and a couple of other highlights one more time. I mean, it was a banger. It went back and forth. It defied what we expected. Went all the way to OT. Furia lost plenty of rounds, and EG probably lost plenty of rounds they shouldn't have lost as well. And it just delivered a classic. Fracture on the other side of this break. Stay tuned because we've got plenty more on the other side. We'll be right back.
Red Bull gives you wings.